We have Bipin Kumar Saxena, the director at Coal India, who joins us, director of marketing, who joins us currently. Thanks so much, Mr. Saxena, for joining in this morning. Could you tell us, with regard to Coal India, first things first, international prices have been moving lower. So with regard to Coal India, any price hikes, could we see it in FY15, or that's totally out of the window?
I'll not rule out the possibility, because last time when the prices were revised, that was in May 2013.
Right.
Now, since then, there has been an increase in the indices by around 9%. So, I don't rule out the possibility, but then the Coal India board takes into account all those things before making any price rises. Coal India board has yet to take a call on that. Once it is taken up, then the certain things will certainly come out in the market.
Right, but Mr. Saxena, the international prices are sitting at 5-year lows. I'm just looking at what's going on internationally. So Coal India, you still believe that there is scope for them to go ahead and increase prices? And also, is there a committee that needs to be formed to increase prices?
Actually, this is done by the Coal India board.
Right. So is the board in place?
As far as the international prices are...
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
As far as the international prices are concerned, even today, the basic price of the international coal in the lower bands is much higher than the basic prices of Coal India.
Okay.
So there is always a scope for it.
Okay. Morning, Mr. Saxena, and thanks again for joining in. How soon is the Coal India board likely to consider a potential price hike? And if yes, what could be the extent of the FSA price hike according to you?
I don't think it will be proper for me to preempt at this point of time. But whenever the board meeting, the audit committee and the boards, they are regularly monitoring the same. And whenever it is required, whenever the board meetings are held in the financial year, this will certainly be on the agenda.
Okay, but in your understanding, you believe that there is a case for pricing to go up. Okay, let's move on then, sir, to the production, because the production at Coal India has been lagging for the last many years. In fact, I was seeing a report where from FY09 to FY14, it's only averaged about 2.8 or 3% thereabout. Are you on track to meet your FY15 production target of 507 million tons? And if not, how much are you likely to fall short by?
If you see the figures up to November, there's a growth of 7.5% in the production in the year 14-15 compared to the previous year. There's a growth in production 7.5%, and the offtake there's a growth of 4%. Right. Of course, you'll realize that production is one part. Offtake is another important part, because the coal has to move to the various consumers.
Sure.
And in fact, the stock position as on today is around 34 million tons.
Right.
So we don't have any problems of production or dispatch, but of course the infrastructure and the railways have to also supply more rakes. So the more of coal moves to the power plants, and the metallization still improves.
All right. So, Mr. Saxena, could you give us a rough idea or how much? Because currently your dispatches are lagging by 20 million tons. Can you make that up in the next 3 months that we have?
Making up, part of it can certainly be made up, but then it again depends on the availability of the rakes. Because we have explored a number of schemes, as is varies and all that, where we are offering coal to the consumers directly from the pit head.
Okay.
Consumers have been lifting that coal, but then rail is a big component where the rake supply has to enhance for making up the shortfall.
Right.
Of course, part of it will be certainly made up.
Okay, very, very important point then with regard to the rake availability. What is the current rake availability? What is the required rake availability? And also, to meet this particular target, what is the rake availability you are looking at?
Actually, we had projected a rake requirement of almost 230 to 235 rakes per day.
Okay.
Now, on an average, we are getting around 210 to 215 rakes per day.
Oh.
So that calls for an additional 15 to 20 rakes per day, so that we can move the coal to the power plants. And of course, with the incoming of this winter, this fog problem has also started, where the movement of rakes has been affected to a certain extent.
Okay. What about e-auction volumes then? Is it likely that the volumes could be under pressure, and either from the government or maybe on account of weak demand? What is the company forecasting e-auction volumes to be?
E-auction, if I say, during the monsoons, the stocks of the power plants had gone down drastically to a level of 7 to 8 million tons. So certain amount of balancing was required where more coal was to be supplied to the power sector. Now the stocks have come up to a level of 12 million tons, and in fact we are making the first offer to the power sector so that whatever coal the power sector wants to lift that once it is not lifted to the power sector, that coal is always made available for the e-auction.
Right, but Mr. Saxena, in the past as well, you'll have given that option, go ahead and come and take whatever coal is available at the pit head, but no real movement on that front. So could you give us a realistic number with regard to your e-auction volume for this year? Is there a limit in place? Because I believe in the first 2 quarters at the halfway mark, you had dispatched nearly around 27 million tons. So can we see 35 million tons? Is it 40 million tons? What are we looking at for this year itself? And importantly, is there a limit? Is there a cap in place from the Government of India?
No cap at the moment.
No cap.
There's no cap at the moment. Only what I told you, that the priority is to the power sector. First, the coal must go to the power sector, and thereafter to the other consumers if they do not lift the coal, because we cannot build up and keep the stocks like that. So the portion of CBP of course says 10%, but then the power is the priority.
So importantly, there's been a lot of talk that in the next few years, in the next 5 years, that by 2020, we had Mr. Anil Swarup who joined us, and he said that 1 billion is the target. Is that a possibility? Is there a roadmap that you all have laid out?
Yes, it's true. We have already prepared a roadmap for 926 million tons, and for the rest, we are in the stage of preparing the road plan. Now, certain projects have been identified from where that production has to come, and certain works like laying out the infrastructure, railway lines, the land acquisition, all those things have been put in place, and actions have been taken on those lines. And we are confident that what has been said, that by the year 2019 we will be able to achieve a level of 1 billion or 926 what we have committed. We will certainly be doing that.
Okay, so you maintain hitting that 1 billion ton production target of 2019. So will the decline in diesel prices positively impact your margins? And if yes, is it possible to quantify what will be the margin benefit?
In fact, the reduction in the diesel prices, that will certainly reduce our cost of production, because diesel is a big component of which is being consumed in the equipments. So at this point, it will not be easy for me to quantify, but this reduction in diesel prices will certainly result in a lowering of the expenditure for the production of coal.
All right, Mr. Saxena, then importantly, I need to know what is your cash balance in your standalone books, because that's going to be quite important. In case there's going to be dividend payout, then we know that in fact the standalone cash balance is very, very important. So could you give us that particular number? What's the cash balance in your standalone books?
Actually, the consolidated figure which I have, it is around 59,000 crores.
Right, sir, but
and out of that, a large amount of it is committed, because we have got commitment towards, you can say, this foreign acquisitions, this railway lines, then the capex on our own, this mine closure plan, then this other CSR, and all those things. But if you take that into account, we are having around 15,700 available cash for us, and now we have taken the task of procuring 2,000 wagons in the year 2014-15, incurring expenditure around 515 crores in that. And moreover, in one of the subsidiaries, we have approved a power project also, that is 200 to 800 megawatt, which will be entailing an expenditure of around 11,000 crores. So we have got all committed expenditure for that.
Okay. So very quickly then, what would be the dividend payout ratio for Coal India in this fiscal year?
Dividend payout, of course, that is decided by the board, and but I don't.
So
think
what is the board decided?
It will be up to the not as yet, but not to the level of last year. It will be. In the past, we have been paying dividends of 40% and then 40%. So I don't think anything less than that will be there.
All right, Mr. Saxena, thanks so much for joining this morning, giving us all those details.